Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Lead Management Masterminds podcast. This is Scott Payne. So excited you came back to us today to listen for episode number 31. So excited to have with us today a special guest, someone I've actually known for many years and actually lived down the street from me growing up. Here we are doing our thing over the last couple of years. We get reconnected and now work with Kyle a lot with what we do here at SDP. So I'm so excited to have Kyle on. He's a podcaster, social media coach, presenter, speaks all over the country, all kinds of stuff. So excited to have Kyle. How you doing today?
Scott, bro, I am doing incredible. And yeah, dude, it's wild to see our relationship come full circle. Who would have ever thought we'd be on a podcast together in our 40s when we knew each other when we were teenagers?
Yeah, it's crazy. And for those who don't know, high school rivalries. We went to opposite high schools, Grapevine and Colleyville, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we're kind of rivals in that aspect. But, you know, again, we're in our 40s. We've matured a little bit by now, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Awesome. Well, why don't you take a few seconds to tell everyone about yourself and maybe a little bit about your history, if you can, real quick.
Yeah, man. So I spent my 20s as a youth pastor and really thought that I was going to do that for my whole life. My family had been generations of pastors, and man, right as I was turning 30, I just felt this calling to go into the business space. And so I quit church ministry, started a roofing company with my dad and my brother, learned sales and marketing and social media. I was the only roofer doing Facebook Lives from the rooftops of houses and buildings. So dumb. No one cared, but yet I was doing it. And then from there, I started a company building websites for realtors. In that space, I realized, man, like realtors and now realize lenders, they're horrible at social media. And so because I was a good speaker, I started learning social media, teaching them classes, and then that led to really now where I am today, Scott, which is I get to travel the country, speaking, coaching, teaching, equipping people about social media and storytelling and just being present online in front of their people. Man, it's a lot of fun. I would have never picked this journey for myself, but here we are.
You know, it's one of those things I was thinking about the roof stuff. Like, you know, I think that although you thought it was dumb being up there, looking back, like what are some of the things you learned about social media as it relates to being present and branding yourself? You know, some of the questions I have for you is around how can people brand themselves better, and like what was your thought with that part of it?
The first thing, Scott, is anyone that I talk to, when they say I'm boring, I literally am like, I used to do videos on people's roofs. Nothing is more boring than that. But because I was being myself, nothing was fabricated. People enjoyed it, and the big moment for me was, man, when the big hailstorm came through Oklahoma, when we were there doing roofing, dude, I jumped on video early that morning, and dude, within minutes, that video had like 60 something shares, and I fielded almost 100 phone calls that first day while everybody else was out chasing business. And it was because this boring roofer was being present online with people, right? I was doing whatever I could to try to find value, and it worked. Yeah. And I think that's really the biggest thing for me is in all my moments now of like, this is boring, nobody cares. It's like, bro, if they cared back then when you were climbing on people's roofs, they care now. And I think that was my biggest takeaway.
Well, I love it. I mean, so you talk a lot about mindset. In fact, you're the host of the Social Media Mindset podcast, and there's a new episode every week. If those out there are looking for a place to get started, what I recommend you do is go out and read through the list of topics that are on there and find something that resonates with you and start there. Like one of them recently was fun with TikTok or fun on TikTok. Like maybe you're a TikTok watcher, go listen to that one first. Or, you know, find what resonates with you and see how it resonates, and then you'll go find other stuff. So I've just had a blast kind of going through, and as I'm doing my walking around, doing walks and stuff like that, I like to listen to your podcast. So
Thanks, man.
Great job there. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of social media. You've talked about it a little bit, but the importance of social media as it relates to someone that maybe has never thought about doing it before.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want people to know my personal stuff. I don't want this. What do you talk about to people out there today about the importance of being on social media and being engaged? I know it's very high level, but
the biggest thing, because I know a lot of your listeners, are people that have had experience in call centers, right? They're just dialing for dollars, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? That is a way to do this business. 20 years ago, bro, that didn't matter, right? Like if you wanted to be uber private, man, go work in a call center, go knock out phone calls. But now we just have too much access to data. And so when I hear Scott Payne or my friend says, "Oh, dude, do you know this?" Or before we hit record, right? You were telling me about a friend of yours that you want to connect me to. Well, guess what? Now, the world we live in, when you connect me to your friend, and you're going to tell him how great I am, right? Man, Kyle's awesome. He just wrote a book, right? Blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter anymore what you say because now your friend can go to their phone, boop boop boop, Google Kyle Draper, and I am now the victim of whatever they find. And so this is now like social media used to be, in my opinion, about trying to get leads there. Yep. To me, social media is now more about what I call social proof. And what that means is your friends are saying great things about you. Your past clients are saying great things about you. They're trying to refer you business. But when they go Google your name and you don't have a YouTube channel, you don't have Instagram, you only have Facebook, all of that begins to create red flags about you as a human being. And it's not fair, but it also doesn't make it less true. And so this is what I really wish the people that are still like Heismaning against social media, or they're like, man, I didn't need this 10 years ago. I didn't need that. Like for those people, I just want to grab their face. Like I imagine they're like Chunk from Goonies, And I just want to grab their face and just shake it, and go, dude, what are you doing? This is no longer an option. We cannot be the best kept secret anymore. Those companies are going out of business. And so, dude, that's the biggest thing is just do something to be more present, something.
Yeah.
And that has to be where we start.
So one of the things that, I've really took on with the coaching that you've done with me around don't overthink it, right? I find myself overthinking a lot and watching it back and over criticizing. And then it ends up, I record something and then I don't post it, right? Because I'm overthinking it. What are your thoughts, or what are some ideas with that? Because again, I think a lot of people who might hear this today and as we get through the rest of the episode are going to say, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And then they're going to go hit record and they're going to say it and they're going to judge and overthink. What do you say to someone like that?
Dude, we have to stop creating a difference in the real us and the virtual us. If you and I are at coffee physically and you stumble over a word, you can't go, hold on, and then walk back out of the coffee shop and then come back in and be like, bro, what's up, man? It's great to see. Like, you can't go start the conversation new. You're going to flub a word and you're probably not even going to say anything because I don't care. Right? We're two buddies having coffee. And so we're not concerned with, oh my gosh, is Kyle impressed by me today? I hope he's impressed. I wore my good hat because I want him to be impressed. You're not thinking about any of that stuff. But then we go to the internet and all of a sudden we have to be this refined, perfected version of ourselves that isn't real life. None of our friends know this version, but we're going to pretend to be this version on the internet. And so when I mess up a word, boom, I'm resetting. I'm doing another take, right? If my kids come running in the background, which would humanize me as a dad, most people would go, dang it, I was so close. And then they're going to reset, go yell at the kids, yell at their spouse, like, don't let the kids in here, right? And so then the only version of me on the internet is this perfected version of me that Scott is no longer relatable to anybody. And so this has to be where we put our focus is just in this realization of 99% of the people that see my videos, see my content are already my friend. So they know that I'm a fat guy, right? So I'm not trying to find like an angle that makes me look skinny. I'm not going to put a filter on to kind of chisel my jawline because my friends would go, "Who is that? That's not Kyle. I was just at lunch with Kyle yesterday. Like, that doesn't look like him." And so we're perverting like what version of us is supposed to be online. And it's robbing our people of seeing who they already love, which is us. And so we've got to let this go. And we've also got to realize like one of my favorite quotes is by a guy named Andre Gide. He's a French writer, and he says everything that needs to be said has already been said. But since no one was listening, everything must be said again. And so it's just that constant reminder for me when I'm like, okay, like what am I going to do today to be creative? What am I going to do today that's never been done before, that my friends have never seen before? No, the real question needs to be, what have I not talked about for 30 days? Because my buddy Scott doesn't have a clue what I did 31 days ago. No one's paying attention to us at that level. And so if I just go look at last month's content, that should give me all the ideas I need to start creating content now. Man, it simplifies it. It stops overthinking, and it changes the game for our ability to show up online.
It's awesome. And we're going to talk more about your book here in a second, but you sent me a Christmas gift, and I'm afraid to show it on camera because it might mess up the focus here, but you sent me a Christmas gift, this book, and
yeah,
I'm not usually a book reader, but I was on a plane flying, no Wi-Fi access, and everything wasn't working, so I pulled it out, and I couldn't put it down. I got landed and literally got off the plane and went and sat in the chair outside the thing so I could finish reading. I was that hooked in.
Come on.
Right. So good. So hooked. Right. And in fact, over here, I've got 3 other of his books, Austin Kleon. I think it's or Kleon. So
yeah, Austin Kleon.
So, but yeah, Austin Kleon. And yeah, if you're thinking about where to start for content, right, don't overthink it. Like maybe start with a book like that. We'll talk about Rethink everything here in just a little bit, but there's all kinds of ways to come up with content as it relates to lead management. How we kind of tie it on to lead management. One of the things that I've been talking to a lot of clients about lately is that this is part of your conversion, the way to convert leads. You can no longer just sit behind the phone. And so as it relates to managing your leads, or what we typically talk about on the show, this is a big part of it. And it could be at a company level, could be at a personal level, it needs to be both. And what I really like is the ability that the companies can tell the stories of loan officers and do some marketing there as it relates to social media as well. So that said, I just want to maybe drill into a couple actionable things. So someone who's listening to this today saying, to this point, I'm never going to do it. I'm not doing it. What do you say are the 1 or 2, 3 actionable things for them to do today to get started on this journey of content creation?
Dude, the first thing is create videos in your processes. So right now, so many lenders, they've either digitized themselves, right? So like they're not really going to closings as much anymore. And the reality is too, as you grow, you don't have time to go to all your closings. And so you're left with, what are your touch points? And man, what I would argue is I don't even think we should be calling people on the phone anymore. Because if you're my lender, and so we're buying a new home, right? I would assume in most scenarios, one spouse is kind of the leader of the transaction. And so in my family, it would be me. My wife is going to completely trust me to deal with all that. So you call me today and you're like, hey, bro, update. Here's where we're at. We're about 2 weeks out. We're good. Everything's good. The money's good, right? Well, I'm going to get home and I'm going to tell my wife, I'm going to say, hey, Scott called and we're good. Everything's good. And she's going to go, well, what else did he say? Well, I don't really know what, like he just said, we're good. He said, and now my wife is going to be mad because I'm giving her poor secondhand information. And bro, at some point she's going to start thinking like, what does Scott even do?
Right.
What does he even do? How much money does he make off of this thing? Like, what is he actually doing? And now my wife is potentially considering the fact that you may not even be that great at your job when you are great, but I'm a bad passer of information. So think about if in the process, instead of going, I'm going to pick up the phone and call Kyle. No, I'm not. I'm going to send him a 90-second video updating him on where we're at in the process. Well, guess what, dude? Now I go home and I go, hey, Scott updated us. What'd he say? Here's the video. Now, dude, you are building a relationship with the other spouse. And so you're making yourself double referable because I have the chance to refer you. And now my wife has the chance to refer you. Dude, my kids could potentially start calling you Uncle Scott. And now when we have people over to our new house, my daughter's like, yeah, Uncle Scott helped us get our new house. And so there's so many storylines that can happen when all we do is just add video into the processes of the way we already communicate to people. This isn't public. We don't have to put something on YouTube that a million people could potentially see. This is in the private aspects of our processes. And dude, I think it will wildly impact the referrals that people get when they realize the power of video and they put them in their processes. That's the very first thing that I would do.
Love it. And that's not all that hard to do. In fact, I'm working with a software company now, Shape, where it actually has an integration with BombBomb. So in your lead management system, you can record the video. You go to the email, you go to the text, you can hit, insert video, and there you go. BombBomb video is out.
You're done.
Tracked, recorded. You can track. I love those as well. BombBomb, whatever tool it might be. But having that tool, because you also get visibility into, like, did they actually watch it? And if they did, how far did they watch? Did they go all the way through or not? And so it gives you that visibility to know has been shared and forwarded. There's all kinds of information and data that you can get from now you just recording a video versus you calling and leaving a voicemail. What data are you getting on that, right? How are you going to improve your process by leaving a voicemail versus a video?
Think about this. So I just started recently sending handwritten notes to every real estate association in the country. And so I went and bought, and for the podcast listeners, you won't be able to see this, but for the people that catch the video, like I had a QR code made on a little bitty sticker that's 1 inch by 1 inch. And so I write the note and then I stick this on the actual note. And then this takes people to a video of me saying, hey, if you're watching this, it's because you just got a note from me. I'm Coach Kyle. I'd love the opportunity to come and serve your realtors at some point in the future. And so, dude, last week I looked at my data because, again, trackable. These are trackable. And my video had over 20 plays from Alaska, which is one of the first people because I'm just going in alphabetical order. And so the Alaska Association of Realtors was one of the first people I wrote a note to. And so I believe that at some point this year, I'll get invited to do something with the Alaska Association of Realtors, and I can tell because I can see the data of how many times my video has been played.
Love it.
It's unbelievable. Like, this is so simple, and we all have the ability to leverage this in our business. We just got to get over ourselves.
I love it. And, my head's spinning on lead management type stuff where you can start to score or prioritize based on people who have watched your video. I would bet money that they're more likely to convert long term than someone who is not watching your video, right? And so you have data to help you then in your prioritization and your follow-ups and the times that maybe you do need to pick up the phone or that you do need to send something else. At least you're making the calls to the people who have been engaged with the stuff that you've done on video. And to your point, all it was a video phone call or video recording of that call. So I love it. That's a great first step for a lot of people. And it's not hard. Literally everyone has a phone. It's not like, I need a camera, I need this. In fact, I think for those watching the video, you're on an iPhone and you're on an iPhone 13. I was thinking, maybe it's the new 14 camera. No, you're on an iPhone 13. That's how you're doing the video.
I look great.
And you look fantastic. Look at all the stuff in the background. It looks great. You can read stuff. Like, it's not blurry. Everything's great. My camera is messed up. It's giving me gray hair down here in my beard. I'm not sure.
You got to get rid of that gray hair filter.
Yeah, something's going on.
Hey, okay. Here's the second thing, though, that they need to do.
Yeah.
That I want to make sure that we get. So every single person that listens to this, watches this, you should be in the mortgage space or the real estate space, but you're probably in sales in general somewhere, right? In some line of work. And so if we're not careful, Scott, the longer you do what you do and I do what I do, we stop listening to people when they talk to us because we're really just waiting for them to shut up so that we can solve it. Right?
True.
I know what you need. You need my service. So blah, 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 blah. Are you done? Okay, great. Let me tell you what we're going to do. Right? That's what most salespeople do. So when you think about it, we get asked a ton of questions about what we do for a living every time we talk to somebody, but yet we still go, what should I do a video about today? I have no idea what I should talk about. I have an idea. What if we actually talk about the things we're being asked by real life humans that can give us their money? And so we don't think this way because we're not actually listening, which is an entire chapter in the book.
Mhm.
And so we have to, what I try to do is when I meet with people, I have my either a literal piece of paper and pen or my remarkable, and I'm writing down all the questions that you're asking. I don't care if they're dumb questions, good questions, bad questions, whatever. I'm writing them down. And so this is the two questions that everybody listening to this should write down. One, what do I get asked the most about blank? Fill in the blank with whatever you do for a living. What do I get asked the most about lead management? If you're literally doing this for your company, right? The lender. What do I get asked the most about mortgage? What do I get asked the most about financing? What do I get asked the most about wealth management? And then we start writing all those questions down. Then the second question is, what am I surprised that people don't already know? And so we can train ourselves when I say something and you go, oh, whoa, Kyle, hold on. I've always wondered, like, should I be doing this from my business page or my personal page? The moment you say that, my brain should go, ding, 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 ding. You need to do a video helping people understand the difference between their business page and their personal page. Because if you don't get it, other people don't get it as well. And if those are the only two questions, Scott, we ever ask ourselves, we should never run out of content ever.
I love it. And actually, you talked about this many times on podcasts and as well as some of the coaching stuff we've done through Academy 18, to really think through that. And so one of the things that I'm doing, just kind of give a preview to everybody, is how lead management exists in your life and you didn't know it. You just didn't know it. You didn't recognize it as lead management, but you're actually prioritizing things every day. You're actually, need to follow up with your friends in certain orders and all kinds of stuff. And so I'm creating some video content today around that. So number one question I get, what is lead management? They have no idea what that is when someone is not in the business, right? So trying to explain it into their terms based on that. So maybe that's some advice for people as well as you're explaining this out. Explain it in a way that as if the person has no idea what exactly you do. So that's great. Let's transition real quick. Not real quick. I want to give you some time to talk about it because I know you've been working really hard on it. I can't wait to get a copy of it, but talk a little bit about your book, Rethink Everything, and when does it release and where can people get it? And talk a little bit, of course, about the book itself. Let's talk about it and get them excited about it.
Yeah, Scott. So I've been working on this book for years when I didn't even realize I was working on a book. Right? When you just create a lot of content, all of us have a book out there. It's just a matter of formulating it and putting it into chapters, right? And so this is just this book is kind of the culmination of my life's work for the last several years of just teaching people how to rethink social media. Most of us, we've been taught social media as a business tool, which is not what social media is. So for most people listening, your entire relationship with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, has been based in a way it was never designed to be. And so part of Rethink Everything, which is the title of the book, is for you to do social media well, we first need to get you to unlearn all the bad habits that you've been taught from your company, from your boss, from some of these social media people online that just treat social media like a lead gen tool instead of a relationship generator. And so the book is kind of a beautiful story of walking you through how to reconsider the way you see it, because the way we see it is then going to result in the action we take towards it. And so if I see it bad, I'm going to act bad in the way that I treat it. And so social proof, we talked about at the beginning of the episode, that has an entire chapter in the book. Actually listening has an entire chapter in the book. And so when you read this book, I'm not smart enough to like create a book that's going to be full of big words and just stories that are going to wow you.
That's because you went to Grapevine High School.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't have the Colleyville Heritage education, you know.
That's right.
So my next book, I'm going to tap into more of my Colleyville Heritage friends so that it can truly be full of sophistication.
Love it.
Nobody will understand. No one that is listening will understand this unless like 3 of our friends from high school will catch the local high school joke.
Well, they know the rivalry. Yeah. So yeah, we're good.
But that's, you know, guys, it's designed to be a book very much like Still Like an Artist, that it'll fit in your pocket, because I think it's the book that every time you read it, it will reveal something different to you, because the mindset you're in, the place in your life, right? The season of your life could be different. And so it was designed to be a simple book that'll fit in your pocket, because you should always have it with you, because we'll never solve the issues we have with ourselves. Like, we're always going to have days where we wake up and think we suck, where I wake up and think I'm a bad dad, a bad husband, right? And so it's a book that in those moments is meant to kind of shake you up and remind you that you are greater than you think you are, that you're capable of more than you think you are. I can't wait. And so it's supposed to be out, I mean, depending on when this releases, right? The goal has been April 1st. It may get pushed back to like April 5th, but it's coming out the first half of April for sure.
It's great. And where do people find it?
It'll be on Amazon. And so I don't know if people know this, but like right where we live is where Amazon's entire like book place is. And so in Coppell, Texas, they print all their books on demand. And so you'll be able to buy it on there. Hard copy, paperback, audio will be coming, ebook will be available, and then it'll send it to wherever you are through the power of Amazon Prime.
So I'm going to do this. If someone responds to this in some way, the podcast reaches out to me in the way they on my website or on a comment where this is posted, I'm going to buy the first 10 copies for 10 listeners.
Come on, bro.
And send it off to them. So if there's any thinking about, you know, how do I do it or what to do, just simply drop us a line. I'll send you off a book once it's out. So
you're awesome,
love to
bro.
share.
Thank you.
Love the work you're doing and the change that I see happen with those that are in the academy with us. You know, I've started to follow them and kind of watch what they're doing and learning from them and all of the stuff. Really, really cool stuff you're doing. Really appreciate it very much. So let's say someone wants to reach out to you, get some additional coaching, you know, wants to listen to the podcast. Like, the best place is KyleDraper.com. Is that right?
KyleDraper.com. Yep. That is the catch-all for everything that I do with different companies that I have. I'm Coach Kyle Draper on social. And so not super hard, but yeah, man, and anything I can do to help anybody that's a part of this, Scott, you're my boy. And so anybody that's in your network is an extension of my network. And so it'd be an honor to serve you guys in whatever capacity that might be.
Great. Hey, I was so excited to have you on. Talk about something not as mortgagey. I mean, this is something that can relate to any profession that anybody's in. So hopefully those listening, you know, some of my friends, by the way, listen to my podcast. They say they love it because they help them go to sleep at night. So
hey, whatever it takes, man.
Whatever it takes to get the listens. I'm kidding. So really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy and traveling around and doing all kinds of fun stuff. So thanks again for joining us. We'll catch you next time.